Avengers, assemble. All right, so I am very, very excited. We have our first Spider-Man related data mine. Going forward, I'm going to try to organize these by topics or by characters if there's enough material to get out of it. But today I have audio files for you. This is the first biggest step to show you how close Spider-Man is and his implementation actually is. So I'm going to take a beat real quick and we're going to play the audio I have collected and then we'll talk about it.
Peter Parker. Greetings, Spider-Man.
Hey, Spidey.
Spider-Man. Spider-My-Man. What's up, Web?
Hey, Pete.
Mr. Park. Hey, Spidey.
Hey, Pete.
Looking all right, Spider-Boy. Peter.
Spiday.
Oh, hi, Spider-Man. Hi, Peter.
Hey Pete, hey there. Pete, nice to see you. Hey there.
Parker. Welcome back, Peter. Hey, Peter. How's it swinging?
Hi, Pete. Mr. Parker. Howdy, Parker. Spider-Man on site. Welcome, Spider-Man. Got eyes on...
Queen.
Hello.
All right, now what you will notice is Temp Tracks. First and foremost, let's get that out of the way. You'll notice dialogue that sounded like it was text-to-speech automated. And those are quite simply put, those are Temp Tracks. They've existed for decades. They're used in film. They're used in all kinds of animation. And they've been used in game development continuously. Sometimes it is developers who will record quick temp tracks, and you'll be able to find those. Some of my favorites are the Halo 2 temp tracks, which if you followed this channel for a long time, you'll know about those, but I digress. It's always fun to go over here, and I love the cycle of development. You know, I always will say I love projects. I love what goes on behind the scenes, sometimes more so than the final product, which I guess could sound really weird, but I'm fascinated with production. It doesn't matter if it's animated production, if it's live action film production, if it is game development and game production. Like, it's always fascinated me. I've always been very immersed in that culture. So what you've heard in terms of the text-to-speech, that is temp dialogue or temp tracks, and that is to say that they have not been able to get the performers to record yet, so they're using temp for pacing, for editing, general bug fixing, making sure it runs. Lip syncing, all kinds of issues like that. Anything that could potentially run up, you run with temp tracks because it's far cheaper. It's far cheaper and fiscally responsible to run with those. So that's what you heard there. It doesn't mean anything bad. It doesn't mean like they're not getting people back or any situation like that. Because I want to make sure we get through any kind of potential paranoia or any kind of fear mongering. It doesn't mean anything. Now, you'll notice that characters do have dialogue, though, that there are actual properly, that the actors have started to record their dialogue. This is by no means the full scope. It absolutely by no means is it the full scope. And I want to thank our subscriber, Sarah, who helped me compile all of this. I really do appreciate it because time has been very, very tight, and any time that she's willing to help with my data mines, I always really appreciate her work. But this also goes to show just on a larger scale that Spider-Man is far along, and we'll have follow-up videos talking about some of these other characters, but just specifically on what I found with Spider-Man, I really do now. Very much so. I now believe that we should be confident, reasonably so. Not like we can't blame them because we're, if it doesn't pan out. But I think we can be confident that we're going to see Spider-Man this year. I had a few comments, scrolling through and collecting comments, people asking what they want to see, asking and making requests on what they want me to look into. And Spider-Man was pretty prevalent, and I understand that. I know Spider-Man is beloved, but I also have been asked a lot: could Spider-Man skip 2021? Okay, could he fall out? And I am not on the development side, right? I'm not working with Crystal Dynamics. I know that they have a tough, and they have a very hard path forward working from home and trying to get all of this figured out. And it's not always smooth sailing. There's not always an easy transition team. There's not always easy transitions available. And I'm not putting this on them. This is me speculating, okay? If it doesn't hit in 2021, you can't blame them. This is my speculation, okay? But based on what I found and based on, it looks like Spider-Man it looks like there might be, and because again, we're going to, we'll save some. There seems to be a character that is much further along, which leads to believe we might get them even sooner or around the same time. Because as you know, Spider-Man is going to be exclusive to PlayStation. I do hope, though, that he isn't just dropped on PlayStation with no characters on the other consoles. I hope there is that there is another character that's dropped for everyone at the at least reasonably close to when Spider-Man is dropped as well. And I think that's looking very, very likely now. I wasn't, I had debated it before in a previous live stream, but now it's looking very likely because Spider-Man is neck and neck with a few characters that all seem to be reasonably close to being done, at least as far as, outside development. I can look at it and go, there's a lot here. There's looks to be a lot here in terms of character performance, abilities, icons, things like that. There seems to be an awful lot here versus most, a good significant portion of the 22 characters we previously found in our data mine from August last year, which again, I have that video up. But in an ideal world for me, Spider-Man will drop exclusively on PlayStation, and either a week before Spider-Man drops or a week after Spider-Man drops, one of these other characters will drop as well. I think people are going to be very pleased with Spider-Man. I think if you're a Spider-Man fan, you absolutely have a lot to look forward to. I genuinely believe that. If you're on PlayStation and you're excited about Spider-Man, then I think you can 100% be prepared to be rewarded, so to speak. I mean, I think there's a lot of good coming, and I really strongly believe, based on mounting evidence of data mining, which again, data mining is not an exact science. It's not. And I want to thank the subscribers who have reached out to me, who have offered help, who have offered assistance. It means the world, and it allows me to get content out faster, and I really do appreciate that. But again, it's interpretation, right? Like, we are not developers. I'm not going to, and I don't recommend anybody, we can't harass Crystal Dynamics if Spider-Man doesn't make it. Yes, in terms of just looking at it, Spider-Man seems to be well on his way to being done, that he's going to drop. I mean, especially when you compare it to what we were finding for Black Panther. I mean, it looks to be on the same level, right? But again, we were finding a great deal about Black Panther, and he's still not dropping yet. He's not dropping till sometime in the summer. So there is variables, right? Because we don't know the internal politics of what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know the relationship between Marvel Games and Square Enix and Crystal and Nixus and Crystal Northwest and Eidos. I mean, there's a great deal of variables, right? And these characters aren't just being dropped randomly. The idea is that these characters will drop with a location, with some kind of villain sector, with some kind of story, and with villain or villains that will be coming with it. So they don't just finish the character and get his dialogue recorded or her dialogue recorded. They didn't have to do the supporting characters that are in whether it's a Spider-Man operation or a larger expansion, such as for Black Panther. There's a lot that goes into it, right? And we have to remember that, because they're not just dropping characters. They are dropping story content, cinematic dialogue. There is production that goes into it. There's maps that go into it. You have to cast. You have to get supporting cast. You have to model them. You have to voice them. You have to do the mocap. It is continuous stepping stones, and this is all happening from home. So on paper, it looks like Spider-Man is close. It looks like Spider-Man will be soon after the Black Panther expansion, but that's on paper. That's from the outside, you know. So I am excited. I am excited for everyone who gets to play as Spider-Man. I think you'll all have a great time. I'm on PC, of course. So unless Spider-Man ends up being a timed exclusive, I'll be focusing on Black Panther, or if they launch another character around the time, Spider-Man launches as well. Of course, in the comments below, what are you most looking forward to doing with Spider-Man? That's what she said. And what costume are you most hoping to see in the Spider-Man operation? I'm going to call it operation for now. That's just the word I'm going to use. That's not anything. That's just me, just so I can have an easy dialogue and a shorthand with all of you. But what are you hoping to see from Spider-Man's operation? And what villains? What villains and supporting cast are we hoping for? A Mary Jane appearance, a Gwen Stacy appearance, J. Jonah Jameson appearance? I mean, we know about the Daily Bugle already. And then finally, what kind of Spider-Man do you want? Do you want Peter to be a teenager just coming into being Spider-Man, or do you want him to have been Spider-Man for a couple of years or something like that? So let me know all of that. I look forward to following up and continuing this conversation as we're able to uncover more. And as always, I wish you all the best. Have a wonderful day. Bye, everyone.